Welcome back to Seriously Funny. I'm your host, Mashnor Kabir, and I don't know. This week we might have a lot of bit less editing. I'm going to try to record this with the most eloquence that I have ever spoken in the history of this podcast. And so if this episode seems a little bit more spacey, like there's a bit more spaces between me thinking or not speaking, I usually cut that out for the audio version. And so, just the longer pauses here and there, I'll just cut it out. However, this week, I'm extraordinarily busy. I have to record 2 episodes. I have to finish a project and I have to work on another one. So I simply don't have the time to go through and full edit the thing, and I'm gonna hard stop when I hit 20 minutes here. I just don't have the time to go on today. So we might cover 2 to 3 points here in what I have. As for the sources, the source material, I'm just going to give you all of it. I know it's going to be going a little bit ahead because I'll probably talk about meditation and whatever else in a different episode, but you'll get some of the research papers, and I want to research meditation a lot more fully anyways, so it shouldn't be an issue. However, how many of you actually read the source material anyways, so don't you worry about it. It really doesn't matter. And also for the video, this video is not gonna get edited basically whatsoever. I'm gonna put it in the Final Cut. I'm gonna sync my audio for the microphone and the video, and then I'm gonna color everything so that it looks nice and the contrast is nice, etc., whatever. And so when all of that is done, I'm gonna render it, I'm gonna schedule it, and I'm gonna leave it, and I'm gonna do that for hopefully the other episode that I have. The video I might edit. I'll probably keep that one and try to edit it next week. We'll see. But the audio, if it's a little bit more spaced out, that's why I simply don't have the time to go through and cut out the 0.5 milliseconds that I usually do every here and there. So it really won't matter. Most people don't sit down, listen to a podcast full focus, and if you do, that's pretty incredible. Actually, I know one person that said they do that, but he doesn't listen to my podcast anymore, so not really an issue. We're good. The wind is extraordinarily loud. Chances are this thing isn't going to pick it up, but if you think my sounds are bad, bro, let me tell you about that wind, all right? Times 50 billion. Goodness gracious, man. However, the lighting is beautiful, so I got that going for me. But I forgot to clean my glasses again, didn't I? It's fine. You don't see anything, right? It looks fine. It looks good enough. But today we have a few things. So we're going to talk about your second brain. Yeah, you have 2 of them. Pretty crazy. We're going to talk about and probably exercise a little bit. And maybe if I have time, I'll talk about a little bit of loneliness. And so, yeah, that's what we have here. So, again, I'm just going to go through the listenable course that I wrote a while ago. If you want to hear that story, go listen to the last episode. And so, anyways, this is 3 out of my 20 minutes gone. Let's probably start that now. I am kind of running out of space here. There we go. Beautiful. So, this was lesson 3 in my listenable course, but that's not happening now, is it? Yeah, your second brain now. I don't know if this is your brain per se. Really, it may not really be. Maybe it's 400 trillion other brains, and you've likely heard of the central nervous system. It's comprised of your brain and your spinal cord. Pretty cool. Your senses travel up your spinal cord and give it to your brain. If you think about wires, your brain's like a big old wire, or your spinal cord's like a wire to your brain, which is a computer. And so you have another nervous system. You have quite a few, actually. There's the central nervous system. If I'm not wrong, it's like the sympathetic nervous system. I don't know. There's the weird thing between sympathetic, parasympathetic, and then there's central and autonomous nervous system, I think. I don't know. I never really got down to the nitty gritty and understood the words completely fully there. And so you do have another one, though, that's outside of what you'll usually learn in a neurology class or a psychology class. And that is the ENS, the enteric nervous system. I actually don't know what that word means. Let's give it a look up. Enteric. Relating to or occurring in the intestines. And yep, that's completely correct. This enteric nervous system, goodness gracious. This is the one I'm not going to edit, and I'm starting to choke on my own spit. This is the nervous system that makes up your stomach. Yeah, you know, your second brain is your tum-tum. The ENS communicates with your central nervous system through the vagus nerve, which is connected to the stomach by cells called neuropods that line the stomach. Though this communication can go through the circulatory system and other ways too, now, you know, your mind and your gut, your brain, your gut, you know, now that they're blown, since I just blew, it was a funny joke and I read it wrong. My bad. Sorry about that one. I'm not going to edit and redo it though, so here we are. Let's talk about how it happens. Your gut is being rented out to around 400 trillion bacteria. 400 trillion. That's about the chance of being a human being. With the whole pandemic thing, that might be a little bit scary. Granted, the pandemic's winding down slowly here. It seems like the mask mandates are being lifted. My college lifted the mask mandate for in-class. You still have to wear it on transportation. But with the whole pandemic thing that did happen and probably will happen again, sorry to burst your bubble there, but don't worry, they're good bacteria here in your stomach. I mean, they can be bad, but generally, they're good bacteria in your stomach. And the mutualistic symbiosis that they have with you is absolutely incredible. These bacteria produce 95% of the serotonin in your body, which is one of the most prominent feel-good neurotransmitters. Although your brain can make it, it has the capacity to. Most of it comes from your gut, and so we probably co-evolved with this gut bacteria. And the brain's like, okay, I can do this if necessary. Like it said, 95% of it, the other 5% is probably your brain. Your brain can, but it's like, okay, why would I waste time when I can just, delegate the task to the gut bacteria in the stomach? Really, your brain's doing good business here with your body, renting it out and everything. It's the landlord, maybe, kind of. Is it? That's actually something. We'll touch on that. They produce vitamins, the gut bacteria produces vitamins and other neurotransmitters that we may not have been able to produce ourselves. They can activate inflammatory responses, which are helpful for the immune function. And immune function is a lot of inflammation, really. But they can affect memory and cognitive function even, which is incredible. And also, you maybe have heard this gut-brain connection. They can regulate your mood and your stress. For example, there was a study looking at a bunch of students that found that compared to the beginning of the semester, where students are meeting their friends, getting to know each other, during exam week, the students had lower levels of bacteria known as lactobacilli. Now, this will come with two disclaimers here. And this is when I said, this is what I said about the whole renting thing. Is it your brain is your brain really the landlord, and does your brain have the choice to kick out these bacteria, or does the bacteria have a mutual? Are they on the same standing, or is your brain above them? We don't know. That's the causation correlation thing here. So we don't know which causes which. So we don't know if stress in your brain causes the lactobacilli to decrease, or we don't know if the less lactobacilli in your stomach causes your brain to feel more stress. Also, this is cutting edge science. This is a very recent, new, and exciting field, really. And this is a field that is currently being explored right now as we speak. At least I hope. It's like it's like 8 in the morning. So maybe not being worked on right, maybe somewhere else in the world, right? But yeah, new information is constantly being brought up and constantly coming up. And so something that I say right now may be a lot more complicated in just a few years. More studies have also found some pretty cool things with your gut microbiome, which is what they call your gut. And they found that more social people have more gut bacteria. And so one of the reasons for this might be that you interact with more people, you interact with more bacteria, you get more, which is pretty cool. And if you think about, again, human evolution and back in the hunter-gatherer days when, you're interacting with a bunch of people, there's more bacteria. Now the actual point of what this lesson was supposed to be on Listenable was how diet affects all of this. Diet does have an influence, and it changes, your microbiome. More research is being done on this. I don't see too much of this food does this for your gut bacteria, other than yogurt, of course, which you've probably heard of. You can actually find lactobacilli in yogurt, if I'm not wrong. So maybe if you're stressed, eat some yogurt. So yeah, more research being done on this microbiome and diet connection, which you would think that they do a lot of research on that first, right? But no. If you're running low on vitamins such as B12 and B6, there's an increased prognostic for depression. We also know that your brain runs off of glucose. So if you're not eating the right things, your body won't work. If you're not consuming the vitamins and the minerals that you need to function, and we know that the gut microbiome plays an important role in synaptic plasticity and cognitive function. Also, it protects against neurological damage. You may then ask, what should I eat then? I don't know. Talk to your general care practitioner. It varies person to person, really, as well as your goals for dieting. A weightlifter will have a different diet than a runner. Some general rules of thumb: avoid unhealthy stuff. You know as well as I do that you probably shouldn't eat that entire bag of goldfish. Maybe eat some yogurt that has some of that bacteria in it. Like we said a second ago, there's the wind going crazy again. There's also good evidence behind the Mediterranean diet. Eat more vegetables than meat. Don't eat too much unhealthy stuff. Learn what proteins and vitamins you need and get them all to the best of your ability. Also, don't starve. Breakfast is pretty good. Now, to relate this to the prior two lessons, if you want to eat healthier, don't use willpower. And prior two lessons, listen to the last episode. I talked about this. Don't use willpower. Don't work too hard to avoid eating that bag of goldfish. Instead of avoiding unhealthy food in your fridge and pantry, avoid the unhealthy food at the grocery store and never bring it home in the first place. And so then when you're at home and you want a snack or you're hungry, you'll only have healthy food and you don't need to avoid a temptation, and it just makes your life a lot easier. Remember, easier, not harder. And yeah, that's the gut bacteria thing. Very fun, very great, very interesting. Why do I say anything like I say anything at this point, really? There's one study that I didn't talk about there, and it's really, what did I want to say? Gut microbacteria, how diet affects cognitive function, and what should you eat? Don't know. Talk to your doctor. Oh, no, never mind. That's literally what I'm going to talk about right now. All right. In an experiment with 2,680 participants who underwent 15 weeks of aerobic exercise training had their exercise duration, intensity, and dose was a measurement determined by a heart rate physical activity score, which was adjusted exercise duration in minutes by exercise intensity for each session, which was then summed over all workout sessions. I understand that is very complicated, and to be honest, I read that methods paragraph 4 times, and I still don't really get completely what it means, but it'll be somewhere in the source material in the description if you want to go find it. Maybe, I don't know if it's available to you fully if you don't have access to an institution or you pay for it or something. But the researchers made 4,355 dietary observations, and they found that the longer people exercised, the less they wanted to eat unhealthy foods and snacks. The harder people exercised, the more they wanted to eat healthy foods such as fruits, vegetables, and low-fat foods. And as the dose increased, the less participants wanted to snack, eat unhealthy food, and the more they wanted to eat the healthier foods. The positive effect of exercise on diet is known as transfer. And that's the next habit, exercise. And again, maybe I should say this episode too, but this episode, last episode, it's 5 habits to make your life better instantly. Pretty crazy claim, but that's what the title of the lesson was going to be. So it wasn't, except for the comma instantly part. But yeah, everyone probably knows that exercise increases your endurance, reduces stress, improves mood through the release of endorphins, increases energy and stamina, reduces weight, the unhealthy kind. Some people want to gain muscle by proxy gaining weight, but that's of course different. And it reduces cholesterol and improves your cardiovascular fitness. You can probably kind of just You've heard it enough and you probably know that. We also know that exercise has a positive effect on sleep. By we, I mean me. 700 research papers later, baby. Reducing anxiety and depression, and as well as improving self-esteem and cognitive function, and many more great things. Exercise is the habit on this list that does require you to take a few minutes out of the day. Everything else on the list is something that you can implement pretty naturally into your life, such as diet. Of course, you have to eat every day, so changing what you eat isn't that big a deal. But I'm not telling you to become a gym shark that goes to the gym for 2 hours every single day. If that's you, that's awesome. Power to you. I know some of them. But for the people that aren't doing that, a 30-minute walk is good enough for most of these benefits. If you want to throw in a 15-minute high-interval intensity training workout, that's awesome. If you want to do some push-ups and curl-ups, that's great. But we want to make sure we don't overextend ourselves. But we also want to make sure that we don't do nothing. And that is a general rule as well, not overextending ourselves. Similar to how we want to make habits easier to set, it's important that we start slowly and push more I think I talked about this before on the podcast, but recycling content. Let's say that you've never gone to the gym, but you'd like to start. Rather than saying you'll go 5 days a week for an hour or going when you feel motivated enough, maybe it's a better... My lips are sticking together. Maybe it's a better idea to promise yourself that you'll only go twice a week. No more, no less. After a month of doing that, you can increase it to 3. Go slow. Ease yourself into it in the same way. You probably don't want to learn how to drive on the highway. You don't want to push yourself too hard when starting something new or trying to build something new. Although exercise does take 30 minutes to an hour of time in your day, it is imperative to a healthier body and a healthier mind. And it keeps you with, it helps you with the next habit. I have like 3 minutes left. Do I really want to go over this? Oh, that's a big old fat point. I'll do it. I'll do it for you. Okay. Like I said, I'm probably not going to edit this very much, so it won't change my life too much. Hopefully we'll be fine. I told you that exercise improves self-esteem. And you might need that for the next habit here. You see, lonelier people exercise less, and that's what this next habit is about. Loneliness. Although Batman is really cool, and I think a movie came out recently, and imagining yourself as a cold stoic might seem attractive, you have thousands of years of evolution that point to an undeniable fact proven by study after study. You are a social creature. Even if we look at the past lesson on the gut, I told you that healthier people tend to have a good, healthy microbiome. And people that are more social have more gut bacteria. We also know that loneliness is actually quite harmful to you. Chronic loneliness has the following effects. It disrupts your sleep, increases your propensity towards depression, increases your blood pressure, increases mortality, which is your chances of dying, by about 14 to 20%, which is twice as bad as obesity. It increases the risk for diabetes. It increases the risk for rheumatoid arthritis. It increases the risk for lupus, increases the risk for cardiovascular diseases and hypertension, and it also perpetuates itself, meaning that the more lonely that you feel, the more likely you are to deny invitations to hang out or go to social events. It's quite backwards, it sucks, but it's how it is. The converse is of course true as well. Social relationships have been shown to stimulate individuals to fight diseases. The presence of social relationships has a positive impact on mental and physical health, while the absence of social relationships does increase people's prognostics towards psychological distress. Those that are more socially integrated, though, are more satisfied with life. In one study, they found that people who met with friends once... I sound so businessy in this episode for some reason. I just sound like I sound like a real podcaster or something for this one. I don't know what happened. Why do I sound like this? I'm going to keep going. I like it. In one study, they found that people who met with friends once a week or a few times a month were 9% less likely to report life satisfaction compared to those who met their friends regularly. Furthermore, people that met their friends only a few times a year or reported not having friends were 27% less likely to report life satisfaction. And those that weren't satisfied with the quality of their friendships were between 49 to 69 percent less likely to report satisfaction compared to those who reported higher quality friendships. So really, the point of this lesson is to tell you to message a friend. You see, go out with the people that you love and care about. It might seem like you're not being productive, but trust me, you are only increasing your capacity for productivity while also getting a boost to your mental and potentially your physical health. I can't offer advice on making this habit easier to integrate. It really is as simple as inviting a friend out to lunch or keeping or accepting the invites that come to you. But similar to the lesson on diet, you may be asking, well, how do I do that? Especially if you find it hard to make friends, it can feel challenging and daunting to many people. But this may be a little bit motivational. Research has shown that lonely people are actually better at detecting social cues, reading expressions, and generally being plugged into the social world than people who aren't lonely. Why then can't they perform in social settings? That's the question. Well, even great athletes can choke. Overthinking creates a problem. They can't. Why then can't they perform in social settings? Well, I just said this. Overthinking creates a problem. Their understanding and the amount of information that they have paralyzes them and makes them unable to actually put that emotional awareness into their interactions. It's also worth saying that although you can read more cues, you do get worse at interpreting them as you get lonelier. You can read a neutral face, but you interpret it as annoyance, for example. So the root is usually anxiety. So I would recommend working on that through some of the methods mentioned in the past 2 episodes: exercise, diet, but therapy is also a great option. It's also important to accept the fact that you're lonely. If you feel that way, it's fine. Don't be ashamed. It happens to the best of us. Consider your interactions with other people. If you think that your interactions are negative, why do you think that? Is it possible that you misunderstood something? Is there a factor you didn't take into account? For example, maybe the other person was in a rush. Also, notice if you're personally avoiding social relationships. Are you cutting people off before they get too close? Maybe are you not even trying? Or, are you rejecting those invites? In the end, when it comes to making healthy relationships, I believe that the answer lies within you. And whether you learn more about yourself by listening to my episodes and self-help on YouTube, I don't know, or whether you spend time with yourself and understand yourself, or of course, the easiest way, if you go to therapy, the process starts with you and it ends with you. And so that would have been on to the next. However, the next lesson is me talking about sleep, and you've heard me talk about that for God knows how long. The last thing I have here is a meditation, but we'll cover that another day. I'll just talk about meditation in maybe 2 episodes from now. I'll just talk about meditation. I won't do the research. I'll just use whatever research I have here, but I'll just talk about why I talk about it so much, etc., etc. And so I think that'll be a good idea, and it will give me 1 extra week of buffer. Granted, I did already have to write a script this week, so I have to go read that now. Outro here, music, nothing, I guess. MGK released 1 more single off of his album. I think Did the album come out this week? It either came out this week. I'm looking for my phone, and my phone is recording right now. The album either came out this week, or it will be coming out the day this episode comes out. So yeah, mainstream sellout, MGK. The 3 songs that he teased on it, or not teased, released on it. Very, very, very good, and I really like it. A lot of hype for this album from me. So that's the only music thing I have. I think I already talked about Eric Doa last week. As for anime, What what was I watching? And God, man, there's just anime really slipping by people these days. Everything is so mid, it doesn't stay in the brain. I finished Battle Game in 5 seconds. Yes, that did happen. It was quite the time. Other than that, what did I got? Do I got anything? No, I don't have anything there. Because I haven't had the time to watch anime, like basically at all. It's quite rough, actually. I watched 2 episodes of Boruto in the past week. I did that. Manhwa, still reading Omniscient Reader, still loving it, very good. But other than that, yeah, that's all I got for this episode of Seriously Funny. Thank you so much for listening to this one. I'm at 25 minutes. I'm gonna hit the stop button here, sip on my coffee for a bit, and then record the next one. I will see you in the next, which I'll see you in about 2 minutes here, and you'll hear me in a week. Peace.